All right, so my boy, me and Dirty Weather 916 were having a conversation on his live, right? And he was like, you know what? You brought something up crazy. You shed light on something that I think a lot of people all around the country might not know about. And I'm like, what do you mean, man? He's like, they probably never heard the word Norteño before. And I'm like, yeah, you're probably right, because I've only encountered maybe one, maybe two, maybe a few, but one that I remember. I'll tell you the story about him. But I encountered one that I remember in Minnesota, and it was back in maybe 99 or something, right? So the dude, first of all, so me and Dirty Weather are having a conversation. He's like, well, there was another cat on this channel, and he was like, yeah, I can't really talk on that though, like that, you know? And so I'm like, well, fuck it, I'll explain as much as I can, okay? Which is just about everything. So I'm like, okay, so I'm living in East St. Paul, right? And I meet this Mexican dude at the car wash. And I can tell he's a gang member, but we don't give a fuck what kind of gang member you are, right? And he's wearing all red. No, he's not wearing all red. Don't me lie to you. He's just wearing like a red rag or something like that. And he's driving like a all white, like a pearl white 97 Lincoln Mark 8 with like some 20s on it, right? And in the back window, he had a silhouette of Tony Montana. It's like a sticker, but it was like a picture of Tony Montana sitting at the table with the mound of Coke, with like Coke on his face, right? At the end of the movie, right? In his back window. But it was a weird type of sticker, man. It wasn't like a picture, it was like a silhouette, but you could tell what it was, right? And I'm like, that's dope. So I get to talking to him. I think I'm in like my lowrider or something, right? I'm in like a 91 Fleetwood, right? So we get to talking cars and shit, right? And I'm like, damn, man, like that motherfucker's cold. And the conversation goes from cars to green, right? And so we get to talking business. I probably deal with them for maybe 6 months or something like that, maybe a year. I don't remember. Kind of bad with time, right? So my boy OG Black, he's a South Sider, right? And he's like, you know what, crazy? I said, yeah, you know what, Black? There's never really been a real strong Mexican mafia presence in the state of Minnesota. He said, yeah, because you guys always send them back home in body bags or in a box. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, like every time we've ever sent anybody to Minnesota, they always end up getting killed. And I'm like, damn, like that is kind of, I see how that can happen. Even though Minnesota's known as a soft-ass state, which it kind of is, but when you live in a soft state where they're soft on crime with soft jails, people tend to kill you quicker. You know what I'm saying? Knowing the consequence ain't going to be shit. It's not going to be a death penalty. And you'll get out again, right? So this is one of them states where people tend to not give a fuck sometimes, right? You got to remember that coming to Minnesota, right? Motherfucker will kill you and take the right plea bargain and get 10 fucking years, man. Be out in 6, you know? So you got to remember, man, like, you know, this is one of those liberal states, right? So, I mean, you can rob somebody 3 or 4 times over and get caught first-degree aggravated robbery and still see the light of day. They might give you 2 years here, 4 years there, 3 years there, 5 years there. Like, it's not like how y'all just be getting, like, thrown away the first time you do some shit. Like, they give us a lot of chances up here, right? So remember that. If you ever come up here, just know that motherfuckers get away with a lot of shit, man. So OG Black is like, yeah, we ain't never been able to really get, like, you know, get a foot down there. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. So I don't know if I told him this story. I think I told him to watch it, right? So I'm like, you know what? So I'm living on the east side of St. Paul, and I meet this Mexican dude named Juan, right? And so we chop it up, get to doing business. Deal with him for a certain amount of time. And then one day, I'm moving out of the neighborhood, and nobody knows it. This leads to a few more stories, too. So, boom, I move out the neighborhood. Not really trying to move out in stealth, but by any means, but just nobody noticed now, shit, so definitely he didn't. So, because he didn't live right there. So, I'm like, you know what? Times are hard, man. We're fucked up in the game. It's like we're going to have to rob Juan. Juan didn't do shit to deserve it. Now, his price wasn't the greatest. It was standard, right? So, now I had done plenty of business with Juan, so he's like, he's not thinking nothing. So we go to meet him one day, right? Now, obviously we're broke. So what I do is, what my boy does is he goes and borrows some money from somebody. A few $1,000s maybe, right? $3,000, $2,700, something like that. He goes and borrows a lot of money, right? Goes and gets a banger, right? So we go to do what we're gonna do, and we're like, okay, we're gonna we had a whole plan, right? We were supposed to child safety lock the door so he couldn't jump out of the car until we let him out of the car, right? Now Juan was about 5'4", maybe 5'5", not even though, might have been maybe 5'3", about 5'4". We'll give him 5'4", maybe like $140, maybe, right? He's about our age, and at the time, and so we pull up to where we're gonna meet him, and we pull up on a street, like a busy street, and as we pull up, he's outside. So before we can do anything, he just jumps right in the car, and we didn't child safety lock the door. No big deal, right? Okay. So the story does not end how you're going to think. So he jumps in the car. We hit a few corners to an alley, and all of a sudden we pull up to where we're going to do our business, right? Now, Juan had spent some time in Texas, and he would tell me stories sometimes about how they would like steal loads coming over from Texas from the cartel. And I'm thinking to myself, I thought you was the cartel, right? I don't know the difference. You know what I'm saying, really? But now I'm starting to see the difference between a Mexican gang member in the United States and a cartel in Mexico. Now I'm starting to see that, whoa, you guys ain't really the same thing, right? Like, kind of naive, I guess, at the time, right? As far as like the politics, I didn't give a fuck what their politics were. I just needed something that you got, right? So Juan, I guess I was confused about him to an extent. Didn't matter though, but I just didn't have this guy all the way figured out, right? So, but he had experience in the game, right? So I'm like, okay, so we pull up to where we're going. He throws all the cake mix up on my lap, and I'm driving, right? I'm driving. All of a sudden, he's sitting in the back doing something, and my boy spins around, pulls a banger on him, right? Juan starts to chuckle a little bit, like, whoa, like he can't believe we're doing this.